Alright, welcome to episode 3 of Thoughts from the Bench. And if you're wondering this is the third episode we've done in one day. Some people said it couldn't be done, didn't they?
They did.
We had doubters. But we proved people wrong here. And say hey to the people, Will.
Hey to the people, Will.
Why do you keep... Jesus. Okay, well, we're going to work on that. I'm sorry. As you know, today's, the trade deadline for baseball?
Today is July 31st, which means that it is the trade, or it was the trade deadline for.
So literally
MLB.
What I just said.
Literally what you.
But
just
you made
said.
it sound three times more boring somehow.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Trying to be, You're
off to a good start.
Thank you.
Okay. So any big moves today? I know there were, but you're a baseball guy here.
Yeah. This morning,
what do you
the
got for
Mets traded their closer to the Red Sox for 3 prospects.
Okay.
That was the first trade of the day. There have been other trades, but today that was a big move. Addison Reed is a closer who is going to the Boston Red Sox, who are half a game out of first place in the AL East. So that division race is definitely getting tight.
Right. But then the Yankees made a big move today, too.
The Yankees did make a big move. The Yankees answered back kind of out of, I won't say it was out of nowhere.
Well, the Yankees, they got money.
The Yankees have money. I won't say it was out of nowhere because it had been rumored, but at one point right before this, it was said that there were parts to the deal that were agreed upon and some parts that weren't, and then you turn around and the Yankees have acquired Sonny Gray from the Athletics.
Yes, Sonny Gray, he's a pretty big name starting pitcher.
Yeah, not having the best year,
yeah,
but definitely a guy that can, I won't say lead the rotation, but I think he would be
a few years ago,
pretty good number 2
he kind of came
in
out
the
of
right
nowhere.
situation. Yeah, he did against the Tigers in the playoffs.
Right.
So
I've heard of him, and I'm not your everyday baseball guy. So that's pretty big.
So like I said, he's not to me. He's not a number 1. I
don't think they really needed him as a 1 though, did they?
They don't. They have they've got who do they have?
I got
pitching. You. They have CC Sabathia.
So that's CC.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, good for him.
They, Michael Pineda is injured, so he won't be playing. Tanaka, of course. Tanaka. Luis Severino is definitely a good pitcher.
So this team, what it's looking like, they have good pitchers, but Gray, Tanaka's good, but Gray he kind of jumps most of these people.
Yeah, I think definitely he's a 2 behind Tanaka.
And this team, they go for runs. They try to just outscore.
Yeah, they're gonna score a lot of runs.
Okay, so that's their game.
Yeah, that's their game. They got power hitting with Judge and Sanchez. And then you bring on Frazier, and then Gardner's had a pretty good couple games here lately. So, and then they also acquired Jaime Garcia from the Twins, who was recently traded from the Braves to the Twins.
So they had a busy day.
They had quite a busy day. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So out of these moves, Red Sox, Yankees, who helped them? Who helped their case the most today? Because the Red Sox added closing pitching, and the Yankees added starting pitching.
I would probably. Oh, that's tough.
Because they're half a game. They're barely
half
any
a game,
separation between the two.
New York's leading. And even if, as it stands right now, if Boston does not win the division, if as it is right now, then they still have a wild card spot.
Yeah, that's true. Either one of these teams. Both teams will make the playoffs.
Both teams will make the playoffs. That's a really tough question. I'm going to go with the Yankees.
Okay.
Simply because you add a guy like Sonny Gray who has some pretty good stuff to throw. Nothing against the Red Sox. Addison Reed has pitched extremely well this year. I think New York had a slightly better day, and it's not by much.
All right, what else we got? There's another big name.
I think the biggest deal of the day was announced right after the deadline had passed, so this was a down to the wire trade.
Right.
Yu Darvish is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers from the Texas Rangers. You got to think at LA. They already have Kershaw, who is hurt, but he's the best pitcher in baseball.
Oh yeah.
You got a guy in Alex Wood who's 12-1. And then you bring in Yu Darvish, who he made the All-Star team 4 times in 5 years.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you got it. You know, he's faced a lot of tough teams in the AL. Now he's coming to the National League. I think they probably won the day because as good as the Dodgers already
and it's
are,
not like they needed. Yeah, they didn't need.
As good as they already are, they just got better.
What are they? I mean, I'm looking here. 10.5 games.
10.5 games up. Yeah. So, and that's in the National League. That's not anything. That's the National League.
And overall, I mean, they're the best team in baseball.
Yeah. So
by a decent margin too.
Yeah. So definitely, if you know things keep going their way, and
building a franchise value is key.
We got some technical difficulty over there. Maybe turn the volume down on your laptop just in case.
I'll do that. But
Classic Will.
I think definitely they won the day, and you have to look at the Dodgers as a World Series contending team, and they have a legitimate chance.
I feel like they were before.
Oh,
like now it's does it guarantee it?
Do they lose another game?
I mean, yeah, because Darvish can't pitch every game.
Of course, they lose another game, but like you look at the first 3 pitchers with a healthy Kershaw, and it's ridiculous. Like you got 3 of the best pitchers in the league this year pitching back to back.
Yeah, you could face all 3 of them in a series.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
and in the playoffs, I mean, that's kind of all it takes to win. Is these guys beat you 3 games, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, so yeah, I think the Dodgers probably won the day, and then the Astros, who are the best.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did they make any moves?
The Astros,
because they're leading the AL, right?
Traded for Francisco Liriano.
Okay.
From the Blue Jays.
I mean, it's a decent. They got to do something, I guess.
Yeah, he is. They will send him to the bullpen. He will not be a starter for the Astros, which I think is a good move. He hasn't had the best year this year.
Right.
But I think if you can put him in a situation where he comes in maybe 2 innings, puts, the ball past the bat, I think that, that the Astros get even better. So, right now, for me, no matter how much better the Red Sox and the Yankees got today,
right?
I still think Los Angeles and Houston in the World Series.
Still think so.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about that later, and we'll get back to this. Don't go any more on this right now. But
okay.
Also another one, Melky Cabrera goes to Kansas City.
Okay.
And they're hanging on to the second wildcard spot in the American League. Like they're 2.5 games up on a couple teams.
Yeah.
The Mariners and the Rays.
Yeah.
Does this help? I mean, I know it's going to on paper it should help, and that's why they made the trade.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to maybe take over the division or just get in the playoffs somehow.
Melky, I want to say, I could be wrong. I want to say he was on the World Series team. He may not have been.
I can check that for you real quick.
No,
he was
in 2009 World Series. Well, that may not. I don't think they won it in 2009.
No, this is not the Royals team now.
No. Okay, so he has won a World Series,
right.
But I want to say he has played for the he has played for the Royals before, 2011.
Yeah.
He, I think, did a great job that year because the year prior to...
Right, I mean, I'm looking at his stats that year. We're looking at here. I mean, what do we got for Kansas City? What did he do? He hit 300. I mean, 305, which is good.
Which is good.
So, I mean, he was an effective player for him.
How many home runs did he hit
that year? He hit 18, which was a career high.
Okay.
Not counting the rest of the season.
So, offensively, he had probably one of his best years.
Yeah, average-wise, I mean, he'd hit higher averages. Actually, I take that. He's only hit 300 three times. and that was one of the 3. And he hit a career high in home runs. He's got a chance to break that.
Yeah,
he's got 13 right now. He's got an outside chance to.
So he's in a place where he's familiar with. They still have a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I mean they have an experienced playoff. Like they know how to play.
Yeah,
in the
they
playoffs.
know how to play in the playoffs. So
was it 2 years in a row that they were in the World Series? Am I right about that? They lost once and then they won. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's fine. I mean, they're a World Series.
But
they've been there. They've won.
Yeah, they've been there. I don't think they win it this year. I don't think they get very far in the playoffs simply because.
But they're in the playoffs.
I think they make playoffs. I think they stick where they're at and they make playoffs.
All right.
So,
anything else? Trade. I mean, it doesn't have to be you.
Trade. Yeah, the trade deadline.
I guess this is about as much action as was expected. Because, I mean, people pretty much knew Sonny Gray was gone.
Sonny Gray was gone.
And Darvish, there was rumors.
Yeah,
it wasn't a guarantee. But
Zach Britton did not get traded today. He was one of the names that was rumored to be traded. Brad Hand from the Padres did not get traded. Another pickup, which I believe is a really good pickup, is Jonathan LaCroix from the Rangers going to the Rockies.
All right.
The Rockies started off pretty well, still hanging in there, and I think they give the Rockies exactly what they need. He's a hard-hitting catcher.
Well, the Rockies have like a decent lead.
Yeah,
in the wild card.
you smash the ball in Colorado.
Oh yeah, so it's a hitter's park.
Yeah, it's a hitter's park. You bring a hard-hitting catcher in. I think that was a good move for them, and I think that they will more than likely make the playoffs.
So I'm looking at Kansas City and Colorado. They're both in the same situation. They're both the second team in the wild card. They're holding on. Colorado holding on by a little more than Kansas City, but both teams made trades simply to stay in the playoffs.
To stay in the playoffs.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. So they're playing. These trades are mainly for this year.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now LaCroix is, I want to say, a free agent after this year.
All right.
So that may throw a wrench in the plans, but I think that is for them to stay where they're at this year.
Because like Cabrera's
playoffs.
Melky's 32. He's
and,
almost 33.
Yeah, and he had a year that I want to say in New York, he had a really good year, and that's when he got, I want to say, busted for PEDs.
He went through a tough time.
So kind of dropped off a little bit from that. Had a pretty decent season this year with Chicago, but I think definitely Chicago or Kansas City made this trade to kind of beefing up that offense a little bit and stick where they're at.
And you're right, Jonathan LaCroix is signed through this season. So the Rockies will have to make a decision. So this was simply just a quick.
This is to stay where they're at and try to catch Arizona. However, Arizona and Colorado are in the same division.
And Cabrera also signed through just this season.
Okay.
So both of these teams, like,
so Kansas City is kind of,
this is a win now.
Yeah,
situation.
Kansas City is kind of in a rut because Lorenzo Cain will be a free agent after this year.
They're gonna have some decisions to make.
I believe, they're gonna have some choices to make with some of their players. So not a very lively trade deadline like we've seen before.
A couple of all-star caliber pitchers. And some former all-star.
Yeah.
Melky Cabrera, Jonathan LaCroix. Their names.
Yeah.
Your average player knows. Your average fan knows who these people are. So, and you wanted to talk. I know that you were really wanted to talk about Adrian Beltre and.
Yeah, big Adrian Beltre fan. Always been an Adrian Beltre fan. He got his 3,000th hit last night. Which is a pretty big milestone. He is 38, so he's been in for a long. He first broke in 1998 with the Dodgers. So just a big congratulations to Adrian Beltre.
I mean, it's a long career. He deserved it.
He's one of those guys where you just want to watch play baseball because he is a character guy. You see how much fun him and Elvis Andrus.
Oh yeah, out there short and third.
Yeah, and he like I said, he's just a character. Some of the stuff that he does is just really fun to watch and makes it fun to watch baseball. So
that is a big deal.
Yeah,
3,000. I mean, that's a good milestone.
And to think about it, he's one of those guys where you don't think of having 3,000 hits. Like, it just kind of snuck up on us. Like, unless you're...
There are a few people like that.
Yeah, unless you're like a big Rangers fan, you didn't know that he had that many hits. But, yeah, definitely a big shout out to him. Definitely going to be a Hall of Famer someday.
That's right. And we'll get back to this a little more later. But like you were talking about kind of misleading stats or just things like you don't really realize.
Mm-hmm.
People think like Hank Aaron, I mean, in my books, in a lot of people's books, still the home run king. Like,
yes.
I mean, Barry Bonds.
I agree.
Good for you, Barry Bonds, but everybody knows what you did. And we're not going to get into that. Everybody's talked about that. But like Hank Aaron, a lot of people don't realize, like, never hit 50 home runs in a season. Yeah. He had second most home runs, asterisk beside Barry Bonds' numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he never once hit 50 in a season. Like, I would never imagine that. Like, somebody that hit 700 plus home runs never once hit the 50 home run milestone.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That somebody can do that. And the other thing is, he's super, 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 like, top 3 all time in hits.
Yeah.
And you're talking about somebody, a power hitter, who also could hit for a batting average, like the consistently.
It's hard to
That's
to
crazy.
find that, especially today. It's hard to find a lot of those guys because you look at some guys like Nick Markakis who doesn't have a lot of power, but he'll put the ball in the gap, and then you look at guys like maybe Justin Upton who may not put the ball in the gap all the time, but will drive the baseball out of the park.
Right.
So.
I mean, the man had 3,771 hits.
Yeah, that's
a ton of hits. And he has 755 home runs. Like, you don't... I mean, people are lucky if they hit 3,500 home runs. Yeah. This dude, I mean, a couple more years, 4,000 hits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, that's crazy. Just shout out to Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, Hammer and Hank. Favorite player of all time. A lot of people's favorite players of all time. But, I mean, anything else baseball-wise? You got anything else for me?
I think that's it.
Just cover the trade deadline. Like you said, a few big moves, but not a ton of moves.
Yeah, not. There were some smaller moves. The Nationals. The Dodgers picked up a couple of relievers.
Right. But what I'm hearing is just
kind of beef up that bullpen. But not a lot of big names being moved.
What I'm hearing mainly is good teams got better.
Good teams got better, yes.
So, I mean, like, it wasn't... Nobody was trying to make, like, a late-season playoff push today. Like,
no, there's... Because I feel like this year with baseball, there's only a handful of teams in each division. And then there's a significant drop-off.
I mean, it's like that, in a lot of sports. But this year, it's kind of like with the NBA where most people kind of think that they know, come late October, like,
who's going to be there?
You're going to be watching Houston and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what people are expecting.
Yeah.
And I can understand why. I mean, both teams are, Houston's a shade under 70 and, Los Angeles already over 70 wins. So, I mean, it's not even August yet.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. But, all right, I got a little segment, or we'll call this the Hot Corner, and I'm just going to give you, real quick, Hot Corner, if you don't know what that is, it's a nickname for third base in baseball.
Yes. And
the reason is, if you play third base, that ball comes at you fast. All right?
Very fast.
Very fast. Right-handed hitter is just third base.
Right
and
there.
It's the hot corner because it's coming at you hot. All right?
Yeah.
And we're going to play a little game. I'm going to give you some scenarios.
Okay.
Just give me yes or no, true, false, however you want to do this.
Okay.
And then I'll give you a few seconds. Just tell me why. All right? Why you answered the way you did.
Okay.
And we'll start sticking with just baseball for now. Okay.
Okay.
Yes or no, Dodgers, Houston, Astros World Series?
Yes.
Yes.
Without
a doubt.
I believe so. I think Boston.
How confident are you? Percentage-wise. Give me a percentage.
I'm going to say 90%.
Now, okay, so you are almost all in. Chips to the middle of the table.
All in, yeah.
Okay.
And I say that because, again, Boston and New York are both teams that they can sneak up on you and can really do a lot of damage. But I just think Houston and LA both are so well-rounded.
Right.
All bullpen, rotation,
power,
contact, speed. Yeah, they both have two really top-tier teams. So I think I'm about 90% sure.
Okay, so you gave me a couple teams in the American League that you think could sneak up on the Astros. So here's another one. Just give me the answer. Houston or LA, which team is less likely? If a team wasn't going to make the World Series, which one's it going to be? Because, I mean, you're looking at, like you said, you gave me New York, Cleveland still, fresh off a World Series appearance. They're still a hot team, Boston, and then you've got the Nationals, Diamondbacks, Rockies, Cubs, fresh off a World. Like, there's teams that are there.
I'm going to go LA.
You say LA.
I'm going to say LA, and it's not because I think that the Astros are just that good.
Right.
The Astros are good. Don't get me wrong; they win a lot of.
They're 11.5 games better than everybody else in the
and the Dodgers are 10.5 up in the National League. But you've got teams in the National League. You've got the Cubs who are getting better, the Brewers who are coming back.
That's what I was going to say.
And the Rockies who
they're there.
They're not gonna win it all this year, but I just think that Houston's so well rounded from top to bottom that they probably have a better chance of actually getting there. And I know that may surprise a lot of people, but
I mean, on paper, I guess a lot of people would probably say Houston just because the gap between them and the other teams like the Yankees and Indians and Red Sox is a little less. I mean, in the National League than the Washington Nationals. They're there, and one of the reasons they have a good rotation. They go out and pay for these all-star pitchers all the time, and they have good players. Bryce Harper,
Murphy.
I can't stand him, but I mean, Murphy, but you like him. You got to respect.
You got to respect him, yeah.
But that team never clicks.
No, especially come playoff time.
They are notorious for
can't get on the same page.
I can see the Dodgers. Like I'm looking at it, like the Cubs are lower down and stuff, so they could potentially have a couple tough series. Yeah. Just to reach it, if the Cubs stay where they are, this is the reigning World Series champions. But you might have to play in the first or second round.
So, and the Cubs made a lot of moves too. They acquired Justin Wilson and Alex Avila from the Detroit Tigers.
Big moves, but
they did bring in Jose Quintana.
Okay, all right. That's right.
Yeah,
but this wasn't as of today.
This was prior to today.
I forgot about that.
But they also did.
So they're another team making him. Well, they're trying to hold off the Brewers still. I mean, they got a little lead, but
because the Brewers
they just overtook them.
Yeah,
the Brewers, good for them. They came out of nowhere this year.
So
okay, we'll change it up and kind of steer off of baseball a little bit. Actually, we'll stay in baseball. Beltre, first ballot Hall of Famer, yes or no? He's got 3,000 hits, which is a big milestone.
Yes.
All right, a lot of people with 3,000 get in. Some people don't, but
I think the way he's played the game,
I feel like
that makes it better.
There's a good chance he's going to get. It's just as much. He had great statistics for his career, but a lot of that is, and you know how it works with sports, career achievement. It's not so much that he didn't play great for a short period of time. He played really well for a long period of time. And they're going to respect. You got to respect that because he's been in the league for years,
20 years.
Years.
He's 38 and he's playing this kind of baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean he's still producing.
He's laying out.
People are still talking about him.
Yeah.
20 years after he came into the league.
So, first ballot, yes.
All right, I like that. I agree with you on that one. Especially certain people get in. It's you just kind of question.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to some different sports, and I'll give you, yes or no.
Okay.
I don't know first off, Blake Bortles threw 5 picks.
Yes.
5 interceptions.
Always good information for me.
Oh, yeah, you're a Titans fan.
Always good
I don't feel like the Jaguars are necessarily a team that you worry about anyway.
No.
But he threw 5 picks in the team's first practice. And I don't know if you know this. I mean, I know you do, but the people listening, you're not allowed to touch the quarterback at these practices.
Yep.
So he is literally throwing interceptions knowing he's not about to get hit.
Yes.
They can blitz, but they can't touch you.
Yep.
So he's panicking with 0 contact. So my question is, yes or no? Do they just need to give up on him?
After this season, yes.
So you think they stick with him this year? Is it too late to change it up?
I think they stick with him this year.
If this trend continues?
I think because training camp is already in, and that doesn't mean that anything's set in stone. He can still be cut.
They won't cut him.
I don't think they'll cut him.
I
think they'll probably, if he's not playing well enough this year, he will be benched, and then he will be either released or traded.
It's probably a dumb question. You know, just off the top of your head,
okay,
the depth chart for quarterbacks at Jacksonville. I mean, I don't know why you would. I don't know why anybody would outside of Jacksonville.
Blake Bortles is hardly one.
He's there, but do you know who's behind him? Do they have somebody on the team right now that could replace him? Confidently replace him? Or is that the reason that he's actually still starting? They don't have anybody better.
I don't think they have anybody better.
All right, I'll look it up real quick.
Chad Henne.
Chad
Henne.
Chad Henne. Look at him.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen. Yeah.
So, yeah, they're kind of... Okay, so another question. Yes or no, would it be crazy for a team like the Jaguars, and in this case, the Jaguars, to sign Colin Kaepernick? He's out there. A lot of people want to stay as far away from that as possible. But teams like, Baltimore, who understand, hey, our quarterback's hurt, we're kind of struggling, we might take a chance.
I'm going to say, in Jacksonville's case, no, because it's Jacksonville.
They're just a history of...
That's just a history of bad decisions, bad play. Now, they've had some good players, don't get me wrong, but...
I think they've got some good players now. But
they do. And I don't think it's crazy enough. I don't think it'll happen, but I don't think it's crazy enough to pass up an option.
Okay. All right, we'll stick with and since we're talking about Jacksonville, this will kind of relate to them. Okay, between these three, better rookie year. Okay. Leonard Fournette with Jacksonville, Dalvin Cook, was he Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Or Christian McCaffrey at Carolina? Is that right?
I'm going to say Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook in Minnesota.
Dalvin Cook. I feel
like all three start right away?
Yes.
Okay.
McCaffrey maybe not at running back. I think he'll be more. That's
what I was going to say. They'll find a slot position.
I think he'll be more of a Dexter McCluster type guy.
Starting out,
move him around, return some, put him at slot.
Because it was Jonathan Stewart was saying that. I believe he said today that he didn't think anybody in the NFL could guard him. Yeah. Could guard McCaffrey. Yeah, so I feel like all three of those running backs are going to start, not necessarily running back, but they will be on the field week one for a lot of the game.
Yeah. I would definitely go Dalvin Cook. Simply because Minnesota has a good team, of course. They do. Last year, you can't count that. Yeah. Bridgewater going down, that ruins everything. And something that hurt them is having a hurt running back and depending too much on throwing the football.
That's true.
So, definitely, if he can stay healthy, I definitely think that he has the better year out of everybody.
And I can agree with you on that. And one reason I can give you, I'll just go ahead and break down why I think each of the running backs this year will achieve the way they will. McCaffrey showed a lot by sitting out of the bowl game. I lost a lot of respect for this kid. Like, you play for Stanford. Stanford puts you on the map. And I know that a lot of people say, well, he would have been on the map no matter where he went to college. And that's fair. But in this case, it was Stanford. They gave you a scholarship. They made you a household name at 19, 20, 21 years old.
Well, you also have to look at it, too. Their head coach is looked at every offseason as a potential NFL head coaching candidate. So all eyes are on Coach Shaw. So, their eyes are going to be on you. So all eyes are on Stanford every year.
I mean, in the Pac-12, for a while, Stanford was the team in the Pac-12. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And last year, he fell off, but that was the thing. He was never going to live up to the hype that he had the year before. Mm-hmm. He was breaking records, Barry Sanders, all-purpose yards. Yeah. And that's great, and that's impressive. But the guy was touching the ball almost every play. Yeah. He was on the field special teams, every offensive play. Like, he was quarterback, receiver, running back, kick return, punt return, everything.
You can't do that in the NFL.
No. And the reason I don't think he had to put up stats like you said, you can't do that in the NFL. He put up these numbers because he played every position. In the NFL, you're going to get one position. In his case, maybe two. Yeah. They might put you at running back some, and they're going to put you out, and they'll run you out wide, put you in the slot sometimes.
And they'll return them too.
And you can run return man. But in his situation, I lost a lot of respect. A lot of people did. Him sitting out.
Yeah, and he didn't participate in the pro day.
That's true. And Fournette, he sat out. Am I right? He sat out as well.
Yes.
But Fournette, the thing about him,
I believe Dalvin Cook did too.
Did he? He may have. Well, we'll look. Can you look that up for me? Get on that. But Fournette, the thing is, Fournette looked just like a monster, like a man among boys in a lot of his games. Against Auburn, I mean, there's that highlight, and everybody's seen it, where the Auburn DB literally jumps on his back to try and stop him. First off, don't go high. Yeah. Well, do you go high when you're trying to tackle somebody like that in the open field?
No, definitely not.
Do you literally jump on their back? Is that a good way? Or what's going to happen? You're going to get ragdolled and tossed out of bounds like that guy was.
He actually played.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But Fournette, against all these teams, good teams, and the bad teams, he looked great. Mm-hmm. What's the one team he just never could get it going against? Alabama. And what does Alabama produce every year by the handfuls? NFL talent.
Draft prospects.
Exactly. The one team stacked with defensive NFL talent He 30-something yards a game, one game.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't get it going.
I think he had 87 total yards
in 3 years.
In 3 years.
In 3 years, he didn't break 100 yards. And he was putting up 150.
And you have to think, it's against different defenders. You know, 1 year you got Jonathan Allen.
Alabama's graduating people every year.
Every year.
3-4 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Just on defense.
Yeah.
Just defense.
Yeah.
So Fournette, that's a good indicator. It's a measuring stick of how he will play. And LSU had a good offensive line.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Alabama's defensive line, just as good, if not better, than their offensive line. So he had people blocking. You can't point to, he didn't have anybody blocking.
Yeah.
There were no holes.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't giving him time. He had plenty of time.
You have to be consistently good or consistently bad.
Right.
And you may play these teams that will shut you down or whatever, but it can't be against the same exact team
3 years in
3
a row.
years in a row.
That's a pattern.
And you play good against everybody else.
You can put up 250 yards all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
but that doesn't matter if you can't do it against the best team you play. Because everybody's going to look at game film and they're going to say, oh, against Auburn. Auburn's defense is notoriously bad.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State, okay. Alabama, he just showed.
About it. Yeah.
And what made it worse is Derrick Henry, who is backing up the running back at Tennessee, outplayed him in a gigantic way when they played head-to-head.
Yeah.
That game lost Fournette the Heisman and won Henry the Heisman.
Yes.
Literally in one night.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In one night. If I remember correctly, what did Henry have? 200-something yards? Three touchdowns?
200 and...
Like, the LSU could not stop him. And this is a guy that's not even a starter in the NFL, outplayed Fournette. So that's the reason McCaffrey just sitting out, you got to question his heart. Like, everybody loved the fact that, he just was a fighter, he was scrappy. But when it came down to it, he just didn't really...
Derrick Henry had 38 carries for 210 yards and 3 touchdowns.
200-something yards and 3 touchdowns. We were
Fournette had 19 carries for 31 yards and one touchdown.
So that right there pretty much sums it up.
He had the longest run he had was an 18-yard gain.
That sums it up right there. But McCaffrey, I question the heart and also his size. He's not the biggest kid.
Yeah, he's not.
Let's just agree on that.
He's not.
There's a reason that he was so hard to bring down. It's because he was shifty.
Yeah.
He's not your Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, just tank of a guy, of a man.
Well, you have to look at these guys in the NFL now who are like that, and you have to be big to, play the game and be able to score and get upfield. You can't be the smallest guy on the field and expect to score because it doesn't happen, not at that level.
Right.
So
we both agree. Dalvin Cook. Best rookie year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get to another question. We're going to move to basketball now. Okay. Yes or no? Cleveland Golden State Finals again, 4 years in a row. And remember, you got to tell me why you say. If you say no, I'm going to need a team that can beat one of these teams, or the Kyrie thing. That's also up in the air. But as of right now, you have to assume Kyrie, Love, LeBron,
Kyrie
all together.
gets traded, no.
So you think that
Because
Kyrie getting moved?
I don't think Derrick Rose will be able to stay healthy.
Well, even if they get like Eric Bledsoe.
Even if they get Eric Bledsoe.
Still think just Bledsoe, hypothetically say Bledsoe, Carmelo, LeBron, not enough to make the finals.
LeBron can only do so much.
Right.
So,
and he is getting older.
Yeah.
It's hard to admit.
And I think this year, I guess like we said earlier, I believe he's going to leave LA.
Right. I think he's gone regardless.
So I think, I'm not going to say he's going to, take days off or take games off, but I believe that if he knows that they're not going to be able to make it, he's going to say, okay, we're not going to make it.
All right.
He's not going to.
If Kyrie's on the team.
If Kyrie is on the team, see, that's still tough.
Because you got to think, because
you got that chemistry issue now.
There's going to be some tension in the locker room. And on the court, you have to assume that it's going to carry over.
I think they will. I don't think they'll win. But I think they will probably make it. Simply because Kyrie is just that good. So.
And you don't think right now Boston's still not a threat?
Boston can be a threat. I don't think they're enough of a threat to...
This team they have right now... Add Hayward, Morris, take away Bradley, and some other small pieces.
No, because you lose a guy who can defend Kyrie Irving.
That's true.
If you're going to be a 1 or 2 seed, you have to defend Kyrie Irving, and you just traded him.
And as of right now, you don't know if they have that yet.
You don't know if they have it.
They got some young people, they got some new people.
Yeah.
You got to see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, so here's one. Yes or no, if the Celtics make another move for another All-Star, whether it's Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, some names that have been rumored to see what happens this year, are they immediately better than the Cavs, with a core of Thomas, Hayward, and I don't know if they'll keep Horford. We won't count him, but adding Anthony Davis or Marc Gasol as of right now, do either one of those two players make them
I think
the best team in the
I
East?
think if they add Marc Gasol, it does.
I agree 100%. I think Marc Gasol's a better fit than Anthony Davis.
I think he is too. I think he's more of a technical basketball player.
They need a big rebounding defensive body.
Yeah, than a go score every time you touch the ball.
He's not a finesse player.
He's not.
Davis is more of a finesse
He's more
player.
technical.
He's fundamentally sound.
He played with Kobe. He played earlier, and then you have these younger generation of guys who all they want to do is score without playing defense. Or
He's played with one of the most physical defensive teams.
Oh yeah,
in
of
recent
course.
since maybe your Pistons team with Tony Allen and him,
Zach Randolph,
and Shane Battier for a time, the older times.
Oh
Prince.
yeah.
Like you got like hard nosed defenders. And Vince Carter, like he's learned from some gritty people that know how to play.
Yeah, so I definitely think they become a better team with Marc Gasol.
I agree. And do you think how likely, percentage wise, do you think it is that the Celtics will make a trade? This is, 2-3 months before the season starts, but make a big trade for Anthony Davis or Marc Gasol.
I'm going to say a 20% chance.
20% right now,
or 20 to 25, because
it's pretty far ahead.
Yeah,
it's hard to.
There's a ways to go, and there hadn't been a lot of speculation that they're going to make the trade. I feel like if they were going to make the trade, they would have already done it.
Well, and they said with the Davis and the Gasol thing, it was mainly see how the teams do.
They
got to see if DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis work together, and they have to see. The Grizzlies lost a good bit.
Yeah.
They lost Randolph. They lost Vince Carter. Like, they lost some core players. Randolph's the guy we didn't mention earlier who was one of the dirtiest, toughest players.
Yeah.
Junkyard Dog. Not Junkyard. What's his name?
Who?
Zebo. He was one of the...
Yeah.
He had a nickname before that. I can't remember what they called him before.
I don't know.
But, when he played with Portland and New York.
Yeah.
When he was just... he couldn't stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But he learned how to harness that, and he went on the court. Punched Steven Adams. I was at that game. That was a good sports memory.
Nice game.
Game 6 of the the first round of the playoffs. He punched Steven Adams. It was pretty good. Pretty good memory.
I remember that game.
But so you say 25%, kind of low right now.
25. If Memphis doesn't play very well, nor does New Orleans, I think that jumps up to about a 90% chance. So
you think like Danny Ainge is going to go all out if those teams?
I think he needs to as well.
A lot of people agree.
I think if you don't, then, and I'm not going to say people are going to start, wanting him for his job, but, you have to, if you have all these draft picks and you're not going to get talent now, what's the point of you can draft guys, but how are you going to get any better drafting 2 or 3 guys every year?
I know Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, people like that. It's going to take them a little while.
Those guys are good, and Jaylen Brown showed a little bit last year.
He's still
not a lot, but he's still raw.
He couldn't guard LeBron. We saw that.
So I think you need to trade some of these picks, some of these younger guys, and go get like a Jay Crowder, some picks.
If they get Gasol or Davis, you fine giving up Horford?
Yes.
All right, I'm with you on that.
Yes.
Because they might have to.
Yeah.
Take a big man. You got to give him somebody.
I think he's just a better technical player.
Right.
So.
All right. Yes or no? Okay, yes or no? We kind of talked about this. Your Pistons make the playoffs.
Yes.
Yes. And we kind of covered this earlier in a different episode.
Yeah.
Okay, yes or no? Best case scenario, the Pistons can win a playoff series this year. This is best case.
Yes.
Reggie stays healthy, plays Oklahoma City level.
Yes.
Bradley leads the team, all-star caliber.
Yes.
Okay. And
Definitely.
Drummond he continues to get better.
Yes.
Okay. So you think they could win a playoff series?
Yes.
As the 6 or 7 seed, do you think they can
simply because I think they need to be high enough to win a playoff.
So where do you think they have to get? Best case scenario, I guess we would assume that they would be 5 or 6 range.
Yeah.
Playing the 4 or the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Which in the East is...
Which could be Toronto.
It could be Toronto. It could be Milwaukee. It could be a lot of teams. Now that a lot of teams have dropped off.
The East is just so gutted from top tier players. It's going to be easy for teams to make the playoffs. Like I said, it's going to be easy for teams to be 500 and a little under 500 to make the playoffs.
It's going to be one of those years again in the East where maybe a team under 500 gets in the playoffs again. We've seen that a couple times recently. So it's getting back to that. Losing 3 All-Stars and only adding 1 doesn't really help your league, your conference much. So you think that the best case they can win one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. MVP this year. Just way too early prediction. MVP this year.
I'm going to go Durant.
Durant, that's a good pick. You think Curry and they're not going to overshadow him? I feel like a healthy Durant last year without that hamstring, when he met, no, not his hamstring, but whatever he hurt, I feel like he was up there in the MVP races. A lot of people were putting him up there.
Yeah.
And you saw as soon as he went out, the Warriors lost a bunch of games real quick because they had to adjust again.
Yeah.
You got to remember, this is the team that won 73 games the year before without him. And then he
bring in
leaves.
some new guy.
He leaves, and when he goes out, the team forgot how they played with each other. Last year. It took him a long time to get it back. That's not a bad pick.
I'm gonna do Durant.
You think he wins the scoring title if he wins the MVP? Give him his 5th one.
Yeah.
I feel like because Curry's they take shots away from each other, but both of them still average. I think Durant was 25 points. Curry was right around that too.
Well, it's hard when you have the Splash Brothers on your team and you're scored as well. Right. So
right.
It's tough.
I'll give you a question. Your 4 college football teams to be in the playoff.
Alabama.
All right. You got this.
Let's see.
I will pull up the preseason rankings for you and let you see.
That's tough because
I'll give mine after this one as well, just because I enjoy.
I want to say Florida State, but with Alabama and Florida State playing each other,
they could both still get in.
They could both still get in, but you have to really tighten up after that first game. Whoever loses.
So who you got? You say Alabama? Anybody else?
Alabama.
Right off the top of your head.
Let's see who we got on the. Okay. A
lot of people are high on USC. They came off a Rose Bowl win against Penn State. Both teams kind of overachieved last year. Let me see if I can find us a better. Okay, you got to assume that Ohio State, Michigan, and maybe Penn State. Penn State's a wild card in the Big Ten, but Ohio State and Michigan, one of those teams is almost guaranteed to get in simply because they're Ohio State and Michigan. They have a big name.
In that case, I'm going to pick Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Yeah.
And is there any reason?
I just feel like they had a better recruiting class.
Right.
I think, in my opinion.
Okay.
And just that the coaching,
That's true. Urban Meyer, Harbaugh's still somewhat fresh to it.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer's proven
Urban
he can win a
Meyer's
championship. What is he, 3 championships now?
He's a daggum good coach.
I can't stand him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't stand Harbaugh.
I don't like Harbaugh.
Meyer, but I respect Urban Meyer.
But
he's beaten Alabama. I gotta give him. He's beaten Alabama twice in big games. I respect him for that.
And I think that Michigan lost a lot too. They had the most amount of players.
They lost the guy that. What was
the guy that played
Jabril
everything
Peppers,
for him?
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Who played literally every position possible. I can't find any good rankings right now. But
this one's tough.
See, mine.
I think Clemson would be back in it.
It's gonna be between Clemson and Florida State again. Both of them lost their 2 best players, Cook and Watson, are both gone.
Man, this is tough.
I'll go ahead and give you. I think Alabama gets in.
Okay.
I do think that. I think Clemson's going to get back. I think they got a taste of it, and I would say that I'd be worried about getting complacent. But they made the championship game the year before they won it, and they still got back there. Granted, they had probably the best quarterback in. I know Lamar Jackson won the Heisman, but Deshaun Watson was the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Just stats didn't necessarily.
It's just how Lamar Jackson
right.
started and how Deshaun started.
So I think Clemson gets there because they have a taste of being a champion, but I don't think they'll get complacent because they hadn't been this good since 1 year in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's like I think Dabo. I don't necessarily like Dabo, but he's going to keep them good. He's going to keep them hungry.
It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from winning the championship, and not only from winning the championship, but from beating Alabama.
Right. I think USC's in. The Pac-12 is always weak.
Okay.
Washington lost a lot.
That's a good point.
They lost, and USC's got the hottest quarterback on the block right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's big on him. He's going to win the Heisman, #1 pick, all that stuff, and that's big. Got to have a good quarterback, and that's why Clemson might be a question mark because they lost their quarterback. And 4th team, there's lots you could choose from, and again, I think it's going to be whoever wins the Ohio State and Michigan game. But remember, I believe Ohio State and Oklahoma still play each other. They had a home and home. They played last year, and they play again this year. If Ohio State wins that game, or Oklahoma wins that game, the winner of that is going to be prime because I think it's going to be between Oklahoma or the winner of Michigan Ohio State.
What do you think about Florida State?
Florida State, I think Alabama beats them week 1. I mean, I'm nervous, as an Alabama fan, being real, but Francois, he didn't show me a ton as a true freshman last year.
He gets hit a lot too.
He won, he does. And they relied so much on Dalvin Cook. Him being gone means Francois is going to have to mature greatly.
Yeah.
And if you're comparing Jalen Hurts to, Francois, I know Francois, he pulled a comeback against Ole Miss. That's
Yeah.
great. But Ole Miss ended up not being that special. You know, Hurts did
Yeah.
the same thing. He went down to Oxford and he beat them on their turf.
Yeah.
Francois, they were neutral turf. They were neutral site.
Yeah.
So I think that Cook being gone, Dalvin Cook leaving, and Francois versus Hurts, I got to give it to Alabama.
Yeah.
So Florida State, I think Clemson beats them. So I think they'll have 2 losses and one of them in conference, and that'll pretty much do them in. So you got anything real quick before we go? This will be the last question. You said Alabama. You got Ohio
Alabama,
State.
Clemson, Ohio State, and I'll go.
Don't you take mine? Don't you just copy me? Because some popular picks. I mean, USC is a popular pick.
Yeah,
And Oklahoma.
I just don't see. I just don't see UCLA.
But remember, Oklahoma did lose Stoops.
Yeah,
He quit.
yeah. Baker Mayfield, did he not get drafted?
I think he did.
So, and they lost a lot of guys too. You know, Diddy Westbrook.
It's true.
But no,
Do you want to think on this when we do our college football?
no, I'm gonna do. Right now, I'm gonna pick USC, and I know
Okay.
that's copying you.
That's
but,
fine. It's popular.
But
it's
you're
really
right.
early.
In that division, who
The
else do you
conference
have?
is pretty bad.
Who else do you have? Like
The conference is pretty bad.
you have
Washington
Oregon,
lost a lot.
You have
man.
Washington.
Even
who
then,
lost,
they weren't that good.
Yeah, I mean, you lost a lot of guys in Washington.
I'd say at the end of the year, USC was probably a better team than Washington.
yeah, definitely.
It's just that they struggled early and Washington didn't.
And yeah, you know, they both had to play Alabama, and we saw how that
Both
turned
of them
out.
didn't
Both
do
of
too
them
well. But
didn't do
USC would have done much better. Them playing
Oh, yeah.
Alabama with their original starting quarterback.
It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been
that big of a
53-6
loss.
or whatever it was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we'll talk more about college football when we do our just college football centered special because it's coming up. I mean, it's this month. Like tomorrow is August 1st.
26 days.
Yeah, tomorrow's August 1st, and kickoff's August 26th, I think.
August 26th.
So it's
26
here.
days.
So look for that. We'll try to get that in. We'll do that pretty soon, actually. We'll try to get that within the week.
Get that in.
And yeah, this was episode 3. So again, I mean, this one ran just a little longer. We're going to try to keep all of them around 45, 50 minutes, right in there. An hour is really long. 30 minutes is too short to cover stuff. So again,
Gotta
episode
give the
3,
people what they want.
third one in a day. Hoping this, you couldn't tell that we were getting a little burnout on it. But yeah, 3 in a day. Trying to go hard, trying to go heavy, trying to make this a real thing, serious.
Yep.
We're kind of serious about this. If you can't tell. Coach Anderson, you want to add anything? Again, that name's not going to stick.
I think it is.
I mean, I keep
think
saying
it
it,
is.
so maybe you're right.
I feel like the people still vote for it, guys. Comment.
Eventually,
do something.
we'll get you something.
We'll do
where you
something,
can-
but
yeah.
we gotta. I think that's it. I mean,
Got
I
everything?
think we went through
All right.
pretty much everything.
We'll get episode 2 up pretty soon, like right after this. Well, by the time you're hearing this, episode 2 will be up.
Episode 2 will already be up.
And then this one will be 2. But we're going to try to do... How many are we going to try to do a week? What's the plan?
With the schedule and in the upcoming weeks, we need to try to do.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's just tough to say.
We could just do a bunch of them, space them out. But this
and then
one's
add 'em,
trade deadline and stuff, so we got to...
Yeah. So, been a busy couple of days. So
look for, this week obviously there's going to be at least 3 because we've got 3 already.
yeah, and there
This
could be
week-
more. There could be more.
There's going to be more this week. I'd
Yeah.
honestly say this week you'll see around at least 5 or 6,
Yeah.
if not more. But usually, we'll try to do at least 4 a week or so. Because, we can knock some out pretty quick. But look for that. Like, we're going to keep bringing stuff out. And there's always going to be stuff to talk about. And we're going to try to put our spin on it. And I know we get off on some crazy stuff, but, that's part of it.
Yeah,
So, all right. You good?
I'm good.
All right. Say bye to the people, Will.
Bye to the people, Will.
Jeez, you got to stop doing that.